KP classes dedicated to excellence.
Hello everyone, in today's video we will be looking into the solutions of the second attempt of JEE paper 2 of 2024, the architecture paper. So as you are aware, we at KP classes have started a series of lectures wherein we will be solving the past NATA and JEE question papers, because for competitive exams like NATA and JEE paper 2, that is architecture, it is very crucial that you solve the past papers point by point in a conceptual manner and practice all the questions. That's why we're going to help you through this series of lectures, and in this video for today our focus would be the second attempt question paper of the architecture part of JEE paper 2 2024. So as you are aware, the questions of this particular question paper are not in any particular sequence, because the questions in the paper can be the sequence of the questions can be different for every student in the actual examination. So we have tried to compile them into sections, into subject wise manner, so that it is easy for you to collect and practice. So I would strongly recommend students watching this series of lectures to look into the question and take a pause, try to think what your answer can be, make a note of it into the book, and then look at the explanation. You can then play the video and continue and look at the explanation and see how you are doing, how well are you doing, how well are you scoring. That will help you in an incremental manner to help up and boost your confidence for the upcoming examination. So without any further delay, let us begin with the questions of this JEE second attempt question paper of 2024 for the architecture part. And in this video we'll be covering topics starting with this first topic, the first section, that is questions related to the history of architecture. So let us look into the questions and the explanation related to it. The first one over here, given below is a famous temple in India. Identify the style of the temple architecture adopted in the building. So there are various types of, if you have studied about the temple architecture, you know that there are a lot of regional variations in the temple architecture. Every location, so the northern temples have a particular style, the temples of the south have a particular style, the temples of Odisha have a particular style called as Kalinga style of temple architecture. The temples of Bengal have a definitive style which is based on terracotta and bricks. So it changes from region to region, the temple architecture. And this question, they have given an image and they're asking which style it comes under. The options include Dravidian, Visara, Odisha, that is Kalingan style, and Nagara style of temple architecture. The correct answer, so this is, if you have identified, this is the colorful gopur. So what does this image represent? It is the colorful gopuram of the Meenakshi Amman temple located in Madurai. So this particular, obviously Madurai is in Tamil Nadu, so the temple architecture of the south, you probably are aware, is referred to as the Dravidian style of temple architecture. So the answer for this question would be option number 1, that is Dravidian style. If you have attended a 51-day course, I'm sure you are aware about these basics, because in our 51-day course, if you are new to our channel, you'll find the link for a 51-day course in the description of the video. Take out some time, check out those series of lectures, because we've put in a lot of efforts to compile the complete syllabus of NATA and JEE in a structured manner, in a module-wise manner, which will help you prepare for the examination with coverage of 100% syllabus. And the good thing is, this 51-day course has been upgraded to the newest pattern of the JEE and also NATA examination. So it will be very useful for you if you attend that, if you enroll into that lecture series. So in that lecture series, the second module, that is overview of world history, there's a particular lecture dedicated to the temple architecture, and this is what we have covered. We've not only studied, so if you not only get image of a Dravidian style temple, even if you get a picture of Odishan style, Visara style, Nagara style, any of these styles, if they give you an image, you'll be able to identify that particular temple architecture. So for that, you need a structured preparation of all the temple architectural styles, which we have done in detail in the 9th lecture of our 51-day course. Enroll into the 51-day course and you'll be prepared for the examination with 100% syllabus coverage for both NATA and also JEE examination. So at a building level, not only styles, at a building level you'll get the information from our lecture series. The next question over here, It's a match the following question. List 1 and list 2 are given. List 1 talks about the plan. List 2 talks about various building names. You have to choose the correct answer from the options which match the plan with the building name. And I'm sure you all by this point of time know what is plan. Plan in simple terms is the top view of a building. So they have not just give, so these are the types, even in NATA examination, they will not only give you questions which are based on images. In all the history lectures and lectures of important buildings, we don't only understand the architecture of the building from say a picture, you should also analyze the spatial distribution of it, the top view of it, the plan configuration of it, because such questions are asked in both NATA and also JEE examination. So some plans of buildings are given, you have to match it with the name of the corresponding building. So if you look into these options, 4 pictures are given, 4 building names are given: Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar in New Delhi, Matri Mandir in Auroville, and also Sanchi Stupa. So it's possible sometimes students might not know or remember all the buildings. And as the following questions, the good thing is you can start by looking into what part you know and start answering that question. I'm sure you probably all are aware about how Taj Mahal in Agra looks like, one of the 7 wonders of the world, most visited monument in India also. So you know Taj Mahal, it has a central dome, central onion dome, a large one, and 4 smaller domes also referred to as chhatris on the sides of it. So and the plan of it, it's not a perfect square, rather it is a square with its edges cut off, so something of an octagonal plan with a central dome and 4 smaller domes on the corners of it. So that should be the plan. You see that image over here in D, so that is for sure Taj Mahal. So for D it has to be 1. Then if you are aware about the Buddhist architecture, so we study in detail under, there's a separate lecture in a series of Buddhist architecture, lecture 8, if you have attended those lectures. And because a lot of students I know have attended these lectures of 51-day course, I'm trying to link it with it. If you have not yet enrolled into the course and not yet studied from it, I would say that's the best structured preparation which you can have. So enroll into the course at the earliest. So Buddhist architecture, if you have studied, you know what stupa is. Stupa is a religious structure in Buddhist architecture which has a circular plan with a path for circumambulation on all this surrounding it, which is surrounded by a railing and also has 4 gateways on the north, south, east and west. That's how a stupa at Sanchi would be. So that picture where you have 4 gateways with a central circular structure, and also not only that, there is a square based cubicle on the top in which you have the chhatri. So the stupa would look something like this with a cubicle and chhatra on the top of it. So that's how it is. So this square based plan also, that detail also is given in the 3rd picture over here. So that is for sure Sanchi Stupa. So for C it has to be 4. I'm sure you might have eliminated by now, just by knowing these 2 things you can eliminate few of the options, 4 and 1 for C and D. So 1 and 2, option 1 and option 2 are right away eliminated, because in option C you have something else, 2 and 3 over there. So you still have 2 options you have to work with, option A and so the diagram A and diagram B, we are yet to decode it. If you look into the first picture, there is a circle with a circular structure again surrounding it, and if you look into the detail of it, the projections, there is 1 circular projection and 1 pointed projection. You see those pointed projections protruding out? So that's how Qutub Minar is. I'll show you the pictures of the buildings also, but Qutub Minar is an interesting structure which was one of the early structures of Delhi Sultanate constructed. It was ordered, Qutub Minar was first ordered to be constructed during the time of Qutbuddin Aibak itself. So that's when its construction started, Qutbuddin Aibak's time, located in Delhi. That's where it's actually referred to as Quwatul Islam Mosque. In that mosque, a minaret was ordered to be constructed, which is Qutub Minar. And the plan of Qutub Minar, interestingly, has a circular point and a pointed edge. It's like a star plan with a circular protruding profile and then a pointed one, then a circular one, then a pointed one. So it has 16 such protrusions along in the circular plan of it. So that detail you can for sure see in this first picture. There's a circular and a pointed projection. So that is Qutub Minar for sure. And last one, the oval shaped plan with an oval pathway surrounding all the composition of spaces, including amphitheaters and a meditation center. That's how the layout of Matri Mandir in Auroville is. So the correct answer would be 2, 3, 4, 1, which is given in the 4th option. So the answer for this question would be The fourth option, for better understanding, I've included some pictures of all these buildings which you can relate to, where you can look at these features which I told about. So why am I explaining these buildings with the features? This is how you need to study. When you study important buildings, or even if you have attended the classes for all these important buildings in history, this is how we study, where you need to not only remember the name of the building, you need to know how it looks in terms of view, you need to know how it looks in terms of top view that is planned, you need to remember some stylistic features of it so that you can decode if you get some pictures related to that building. So that's how you need to study for the exam. You can have a look at some of the pictures. This is the overall site plan or the overall layout of the Matri Mandir in Auroville, where you have various amphitheaters and the main lotus pod, or main meditation circular hall. So it has an oval path surrounding it, so that oval shaped layout relates to it. This is the picture of stupa. I've already explained what a stupa is. This is how it looks. You have those gateway on the north, south, east, west direction, and the top view of it looks something like this. Then you have Qutub Minar, which you are aware, like I said, it has a circular and then a pointed profile. You can look at this picture as well. You have a circular profile and then a pointed profile. In terms of plan, you have a circular projection, then a pointed projection, circular projection, then a pointed projection. You can easily have a look at it in the picture also, and it has a tapering profile. So that's the representation of Qutub Minar. And finally, Taj Mahal, like you know, this is the actual picture of its satellite view from the top. You see it has a square plan with its corners chamfered off or cut off, which will give it an octagonal layout with a central onion dome and then four chhatris at the corners of it, which are all based out of an octagonal plan again. So that's the basis of the layout of Taj Mahal. You have those 4 minarets at the corners. So that's the top view of Taj Mahal. So that's how you need to remember important historic buildings. Next one, so most of these buildings we looked into also are UNESCO World Heritage Sites, like including Taj Mahal. The next one. The next third question from this history of architecture portion of the JEE solution video, identify the famous monument given in this picture. So they have given one thing for sure, that it is a step well. So you have to select an option which is a step well. So is it a stepped pyramid? Obviously no. So stepped well and stepped pyramid are completely opposite to each other. Stepped pyramid, which was seen in Egyptian architecture, that has a stepped profile and it has a pyramidal, so it protrudes out of the ground. This is a step well constructed into the earth as a depression. Options given: Chand Bauli, Airavateshwara temple, stepped pyramid, Golden Lily Pond. If you look into these, all these are famous structures. Like Airavateshwara temple is one of the famous temples of Dravidian style of temple architecture. So this is not for sure not a temple. Stepped pyramid, for sure it's not a stepped pyramid. Golden, now you have two options. Both look like the name of a step well. However, Golden Lily Pond is a specific rectangular pond located in the Meenakshi Amman temple at Madurai, the same temple which I was talking about in the beginning of today's lecture. The colorful gopurams we saw. The colorful gopurams of Meenakshi temple I told you. So in this particular temple you have a golden lily pond, also sometimes called as golden lotus pond. So that one, it's a rectangular pond, is not so elaborately created series of steps. It is kind of a pond with steps to it, but it's not so elaborately designed step well which are so deep. Such step wells with series or sequence of steps leading to the bottom is a typical feature seen in the region of Gujarat, Rajasthan, particularly in Rajasthan. So Chand Bauli is the correct answer for this question. So you have to not only know the famous structures and their architecture, you should always try to tag it with the geographic location where they are located. That way, this overall, so it creates a mind map for you to answer any sort of question which is related to history. In history of architecture, it's very crucial that you develop a mind map. Now this mind map might not be a physical drawing which you draw and remember. It should be something which you develop in your mind by adding on information. Like I said, like Chand Bauli is a typical feature, such step wells is a typical feature of Gujarat, Rajasthan. So try to create that link. And whenever you read the questions to solve it, try to link it with the other concepts. You know, like I said, Golden Lily Pond is a feature of Meenakshi Amman temple. So try to link information wherever feasible. So that's the answer for this question. Next one. Who initiated the construction of Qutub Minar in Delhi? I just, I think, discussed this concept a while ago when we were discussing about the plan of Qutub Minar with a curvilinear and a pointed projection. So that was ordered to be constructed by Qutubuddin Aibak. Iltutmish was a later on ruler of the initial first Delhi Sultanate itself, who came after Qutubuddin Aibak actually. So he did not start the construction of it. The construction was started by Qutubuddin Aibak. So the answer for this question would be 4. Who was the first ruler of the Delhi Sultanate who established under the slave dynasty. He was actually the slave of Muhammad Ghori, if you know history, and that's where he actually entered into India, and he constructed the first mosque in the Delhi surroundings of it, which is referred to as Quwwatul Islam Mosque, where Qutub Minar was constructed. Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah was a ruler of the Golconda region of Hyderabad particularly, so not associated with Qutub Minar for sure. Azam Shah or Iltutmish, not relevant, not related to Qutub Minar. Qutubuddin Aibak would be the correct answer for this question. The next one, this is related to somewhat contemporary or modern era of architecture. Who is known as the father of contemporary architecture? Father of modernism, father of contemporary architecture is a term associated with Louis Sullivan, because Louis Sullivan was an architect. He's also referred to sometimes as father of skyscrapers, because he was the one who started modernism, particularly in USA. He's more frequently attributed the term or phrase father of American modernism, father of contemporary architecture also. Closely among all these architects, Louis Sullivan was the first one, actually the oldest one. He in fact was even before F.L. Wright. So he was the one who gave the basic ideology of contemporary or modern architecture by describing the phrase form follows function. You can remember this is one of the most important phrases in architecture, in modern architecture, which basically states that the form of the building should depend on the functionality and use of it. That ideology was put forward by Louis Sullivan, who is revered because of his influential ideology of modern architecture, that is form follows function. Is also referred to as the father of contemporary architecture, father of American modernism, also father of skyscrapers sometimes. So the relevant answer would be Louis Sullivan. These were some questions from the history of architecture part. Now moving on to the major chunk of questions asked in the JEE paper, which were based on construction and building materials. So let us look into the detailed questions of building materials and building construction one by one. The first one, sill level is associated with architectural terminology and parts of a building. If you have studied this portion of building construction, which by the way is included in our course of 50-day in detail already. So sill level of a building is associated with which part? Roof, column, window or staircase. So basically, if you look into a window in architecture in a wall, sill level is associated with the bottom level of a window. This is referred to as the sill level, and the top portion of the window, that is referred to as the lintel level generally. So sill level is not seen in doors. You see lintel level is seen for doors and windows both, but sill level is something which you have only in windows, because in door you will have an opening even till bottom of the sill level. So sill level, sill plate is provided in windows. The correct option would be option number 3. Sill is a term associated with windows, particularly from the given option. So 3 would be the correct answer for this question. The next one, terracotta is a type of earthenwork which is processed by processed by dash. That's the answer. Drying in the sun, burning at high temperature, mixing with lime, compacting with pressure. Under building materials, this is also an important construction material, which is an extension to normal burnt clay brick itself. If I just give you a broad history to it, if you have attended my class of building materials and construction, I'm 100% sure you remember it, because we've discussed in detail of examples of terracotta buildings and what is terracotta. But for those who are new, let me briefly tell you what is terracotta, because it is an important term in architecture. Terracotta is actually an Italian term, because it was an important construction material in the ancient Rome, also in the Italian peninsula broader region. Even before the Roman civilization reached its peak, it was a major construction material of that area. That's where this term terracotta started to be used actually. It's an Italian term where terracotta stands for burnt clay basically. Or baked clay for that matter. Terracotta is a literal translation for burnt clay or baked clay in Italian. So from the name itself you understand, so kutta is clay, terra is basically burnt or baked. Terracotta is baked clay, which is given in the options burning at high temperature. How is it different from normal brick? So basically terracotta is burned at even more elevated levels of temperature, making it even more denser and stronger than a normal clay brick. So the correct option would be option number 2 from the given options. This would be the correct answer for this question of terracotta, the most relevant one, burning at high temperatures. It doesn't require any special conditions other than elevated levels of temperature to burn it. That's what terracotta is. The next one, again related to the construction material. Which building material is primarily used as the building material of the Great Wall of China? If you know Great Wall of China, one of the magnificent structures created in the ancient, in the historic times of China, this particular structure was predominantly constructed using stone, brick and lime mortar. So if you look into the core of it, it's such a massive structure running kilometers in length. Obviously you cannot construct it whole of it inside the core of it also. You cannot build it with complete brick. So the construction technique was, the core of it was made with stone blocks of different sizes which were locally available. The cladding of it, the outer part of it was made out of brick, burnt clay brick. And for joining, wherever you use bricks, so in brick masonry, I'm sure you know, wherever you use bricks, you need something to join the bricks also, otherwise the bricks can fall apart. So that material, which is called as mortar, lime was used as a major material for binding the bricks in Great Wall of China. So the correct answer, obviously concrete was not a material predominantly seen in China, it was mainly seen in the Roman architecture. Steel is a modern alloy of iron which is used in modern constructions, not in the ancient historic times. Timber, had it been with timber, you would not probably have such a long lasting life, because it is rare that timber structures will because obviously it's an organic material ultimately, so it might not last thousands of years or say hundreds of years, with some exceptions always. However, brick would be the most appropriate answer. The third option is the correct option, because you don't have stone. Had there been stone, brick, both could be the answer, but they take care that they don't give such anomaly questions or options. So only brick is given, so you can easily select brick as the correct building material for the Great Wall of China. If you are interested to have a structured preparation for the NATA and JEE examination, I would strongly recommend you to enroll into the 51-day course by KP Classes, wherein you don't only have the series of lectures. So how to access it? You can download a KP Classes exam prep app, the link for which you will get in the description of this video as well. You can download the app. In the courses you will find a 51-day course where you don't only have the set of lectures probably for these topics what I just listed down in the modules. You have 200 plus learning material which includes video lectures which are upgraded for the drawing pattern and model based questions of recent NATA as well. So that part also is included. It has been upgraded to the recent pattern. Other than that, you have a lot of practice tests and also reference documents and files included in this lecture series. So you can download the app, have a look at it. You can have a look at the sample content provided over there as well, then purchase the course for complete access of this 51-day course for your full length preparation for NATA and JEE examination. So moving back to the questions, this again is the match the following question, where you have list 1 and list 2. You have to match the correct terms related to the building components in the given table. Stairs firstly, stairs, door, arch and brickwork, these are the options given. So if you look into the terms over here, toothing, keystone, toothing, jamb and tread. So of these terms, the term related to staircase is tread. If I just tell you the key parameters or terms related to a step or stairs for that matter, I'm sure many of you know it, but for those who are new and doesn't know, you can remember these terms. So if you look into the staircase and steps, you have two things. So this is how generally a step is. You have vertical members and horizontal members in a step. The vertical members are referred to as risers. So if I mark the parts of it, the horizontal members are called as tread. The vertical members are called as riser. Other than that, this projection which you see for the tread, so the riser and tread are not flushed at 90 degrees. There's a small projection. So this projection part which you see in the tread, that is called as nosing. And the part of the tread which is after deducting this nosing part, this portion after deducting the nosing portion, so probably of this, if I just mark it, if you deduct the nosing of a thread, this portion is referred to as going generally. So these are the broad terms. So from here, so that part of the thread excluding the nosing. So going, so this part is going. Going plus nosing together will form thread, and then riser is the vertical part of a staircase. So these are the broad terms of which in the given table you can match staircase with thread. So that would be 4. Door, the frame of a door, that surface where the door's frame fixes, that's called as jamb of a door. So that is 3. Arch, semicircular arch has a set of, so what is an arch basically? It is set of blocks which interlock each other, and the central block which locks it. So you have series of blocks which interlock in an arch. You have series of blocks which all interlock each other under gravitational force like this. Something of that sort. So there is a force which interlocks them together. The central block which is located and which binds everything together in an arch, that's called as a keystone. So for arch, number 1, it is keystone. And then brickwork, one of the techniques used in brickwork is projecting. So whenever you complete a wall or want to join it with another wall, you create sort of projection of bricks this way, so that you can bind or join or continue or extend this wall furthermore by laying out bricks later on. So this technique of projecting bricks for proper bond with an extension of wall is referred to as 2 things. So the correct option would be 2. 4, 3, 1, 2. I'm sure there will be an option of 4, 3, 1, 2, which is option number 2. So the correct answer would be the second option for this question. Moving on to the next question. This again, it's related to concept of staircase which we just discussed a while ago. So the staircase kept in motion, okay, this is not normal staircase, we're talking about staircase which is kept in motion by revolving a drum is known as, I'm sure you know what moving steps are called as. Moving staircase or staircase where you stand and the steps tread itself automatically moves, that is referred to as an escalator. The correct answer for this would be option number 1. Stairs which are kept in motion by a revolving drum traditionally, that is referred to as a escalator. Option number 1. Elevator is same as lift, both are same. Whereas escalator is moving steps, that's stairs kept in motion. The next one, which is the terminology for the vertical portion between each tread of the staircase. We just discussed this term. If there are 2 step treads, thread which is composed of the going and the nosing, you have another thread over here, the vertical portion between each thread, so between these, this vertical portion between the threads, that is called as riser, as we discussed. So I'm sure riser should be in the option. Going, you know what going is, it is that part of the step thread other than this nosing, this is called as going. I have marked it in the earlier picture. So this part is going, the remaining part is nosing, both together will form thread. Riser is the correct answer for this question, which is the vertical portion. So the answer for this is option number 4. What are winders then? Winders are basically steps which are not rectangular. Sometimes if you have used a spiral staircase which basically turn, in that you cannot have a normal rectangular step. Can you have rectangular steps in a spiral staircase? Generally no. In spiral staircase, if you see, the steps are wider on one side, narrower on the other side. They're wider on one side, narrower on the other side. You don't have perfect rectangular steps. Such steps, they're used in turning staircase or staircase where they turn, that is referred to as a winder in architecture. So that's option number 1. So try to read about the incorrect options as well. That's always a good practice for competitive exams. However, the answer for this particular question, it is riser. Moving on to the next one, this is related to the topic of building material of ordinary Portland cement. Percentage of lime content in ordinary Portland cement. Now this is a bit of advanced question for +2 students, I assume, because see, there will for sure be some questions which you might not be aware of. This I'm 100% sure it's not a very simple question, and you cannot remember such advanced chemical compositions of various building components. In our lecture also probably we did discuss about the chemical composition of a brick, but I'm not sure if we have that in detail studied the chemical composition of material like a cement. However, there for sure can be advanced questions always, and it is highly unlikely that students of 12th or +2 standard should remember such things. I would not say you have to by heart this, but practicing past questions will give you a habit of looking at such new questions, will increase your knowledge base that can help you in the upcoming exam always. So try to remember, when you not study such things, but whenever you come across it in the past paper, at least that you can remember. So what is the percentage of lime? Now, what is lime? It is calcium oxide. Calcium oxide content in cement is approximately around 65%. It ranges, it is not fixed, it is different in different types of cement, close to 65%. 60 to 70% would be the correct answer for this question. Option B would be the right answer. Now, because I'm an architect and have vast experience in this field, I know the answer, but probably at +2 level, I don't think you should or you are expected to remember such intricacies, but at least from past paper, try to know the details of it. This is related to building construction and architectural drawing again. Identify the architectural symbol represented in the given figure. Is this a rolling shutter or a sliding door or a window or a revolving door? There are different types of doors and windows, I'm sure you know it. Rolling shutter in terms of plan, so this is a symbol for the plan. In terms of plan, a rolling shutter would look something like this. It would have a rectangular portion, then a reference, or say you can call it as a hoist, a rod onto which it is hoisted, and then you have these plates, brackets on the sides. So it would look something like that in plan, with some elevation lines probably. So that's not a symbol for rolling shutter for sure. They have shown an arrow mark, so that's actually a hint or giveaway for you. It is a sliding door, a door which slides sideways to open out. So the correct answer for this given picture is option number 2. Window is generally in architectural drawings represented either with a normal central line this way, or in some cases it could be represented with elevation lines, and probably generally doors are represented this way, but windows are generally represented with a plan of this sort. A revolving door generally is provided with a drawing of something of this sort. You have these panels with wall over here, something of that sort. That's a representation for revolving door. So these are some standard representations. This is a diagram. The arrow itself is a giveaway. Sliding door is the correct answer for this particular question. Moving on to the next one, again a question based on match the following list 1 and list 2, related to various construction and building construction and also materials. Cement, window, foundation, steel, you have to match it with load bearing, tensile strength, setting time and glazing. Of these materials, just think of these materials which requires time to setting time. Mix it with water, allow it to set. I'm sure you know that is concrete, which is a cement based material. Cement has setting time. Window, of these, the relevant one, window obviously is not load bearing. Window doesn't take any load. Window doesn't have any tensile strength. Tensile strength is something which tensile materials like say steel rods, reinforcement has that. So window glazing would be the appropriate one. Glazing is nothing but glass, a element made of glass. In glass based construction is termed to as referred to as glazing. So that's the answer for it. Foundation, load bearing would be the correct option. Foundation takes the load of the building. Steel has tensile strength. So concrete has compressive strength, steel has tensile strength. So the correct answer will be 3, 4, 1, 2. I'm sure that should be in the options. 3, 4, 1, 2 is given in option number 1 itself. So the correct answer for this question is option 1, 3, 4, 1, 2. The next one, which of the below given materials is not a type of plaster? What is plaster? Basically, when you construct a brick wall in brick masonry, so first you use bricks, you bind the bricks together with mortar. So the construction of brickwork is like this. You use bricks, you need to join these bricks together, both in terms of horizontal and vertical joints. You need to fill it with some cement paste to join them. So this material which is used to bind, that is referred to as mortar generally. Mortar can be of various types. There is mud mortar, there is lime mortar, and there is cement mortar as well. Other than mortar and bricks, you generally plaster it on the top of it. So if you don't want to expose the bricks, there are exposed brick walls also where the bricks are visible outside. But in many cases, you plaster it with something on the top. So that layer which you apply on top of a brick wall is called as plaster. That's what they're talking about, which is not a type of plaster. Lime plaster, MDF, gypsum, cement. Cement is used in plaster, gypsum is used in plaster. Gypsum is nothing but calcium sulfate that is used as a plaster. Lime, calcium oxide, that is also mixed with water and is used as plaster. The correct answer for this, which is not used as a plaster, is MDF, which is medium density fiberboard. Medium density fiberboard is a type of engineering wood. Now, what are engineering wood in architecture? Timber which you take directly from trees and plants, from basically trees. That's referred to as timber. Now that's basically wood. You also have engineered wood, which is not natural completely. You can use some natural resources and make artificial wood from it. So that is MDF. You have various types of engineering wood, including engineered wood, including medium density fiberboard, low density fiberboard, high density fiberboard, that is LDF, MDF, HDF. These are various types of engineered woods. So MDF is never a plaster. It is generally used for interior works, for furniture, for cupboards. That's where you use it. So the correct answer for this question would be option B. The next one, this is a bit lengthy. Now in the examination, it is generally tricky to answer these lengthy questions because students generally, particularly plus 2 students, they tend to get tensed when they come across such lengthy questions. You should not have confidence. These lengthy questions are generally the easier ones because there's a lot of information and there are points to give away the answer also in it. So you have to carefully read the questions. Statement 1 and statement 2 are given. Statement 1, a partition wall is defined as an internal wall whose function is to divide the space in a building. So if you have a large room, an internal wall which will bifurcate your space into rooms, is that called as a partition wall? Absolutely yes. So this for sure is a true statement. Statement 1 for sure is true. The second statement, partition wall could be load bearing and also or non-load bearing. Technically speaking, partition walls in most of the cases, I would say more than 99% of the cases, are non-load bearing. Load bearing are only external walls. But can you for sure say that this is a false statement? 99% of the times this is false because partition walls are load bearing. But still, can you ascertain, can you be 100% sure that the partition wall is always non-load bearing? Obviously no. There are instances where partition wall can also be load bearing, that can take load also. What is load bearing? Something which will take the load of a roof, will support the roofing structure or the roof slab on the top. Partition wall, particularly in older buildings where you don't have column based frame structure, for sure internal partitions can take load sometimes. So can you tell that this statement is for sure false because partition walls are generally non-load bearing? No, they can, in rare instances, can be load bearing also. So this statement also can be taken as a true statement because this is not 100% say a surety that it is always not load bearing. Some instances 1% of the times they can be load bearing also. So both statements can be assumed to be correct. So both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct would be the most appropriate answer for this question. However, if someone thinks that the second statement is false because non-partition walls are generally non-load bearing, so second is incorrect, first is correct. If you select option 1, I would not say that is a completely incorrect answer. But this is the more appropriate answer. Whenever there's kind of conflict in the options, you should always go with an option which you think is more relevant in the given situation, and option 2 is the more relevant option in this situation. Hope that is clear for you. That brings us to the last portion of my part of this particular session or this particular explanation. You can continue watching. We have many other sections of this question paper which will be done till the end. So make sure you watch this complete lecture. So as far as graphics is considered, there are a few questions from this topic of graphics, which includes color theory mainly. Let us look into these questions. The lightness or darkness of a color is defined as dash hue, value, dullness, brightness. So hue of a color basically denotes the various colors are called as hues, basically red, yellow, green, blue. So these are basically hues. That has nothing to do with lightness. Or can you say, so what are hues? Red hue, yellow hue, blue, green. When you compare these, can you say that some are dark, some are light? Probably no. So it depends on other aspects of it. Lightness or darkness is not measure of hue. Dullness is also not relevant. Brightness talks about purity, also called as chroma, which also is not a correct description of lightness or darkness. Value is the correct option, because value of a color, this is something which you need to study. It is based on color theory. If you have attended our lectures, I'm sure you know this. In the color theory subject, we have covered all these parameters in detail. Colors have hue, value, chroma. Other than that, you have tint, tone and shade. So these 6 terms you have to remember, other than the types of color schemes. So the correct option would be value, because value talks about lightness or darkness of a color, how dark or light something is. So that's marking a color on the scale of lightness or darkness, that's called as value. The next one, very simple question based on color wheel. What are the primary colors? Primary colors of a color wheel are simply red, blue and yellow. You can see that in this picture. Red, blue and yellow are called as primary colors. Secondary colors are basically purple, or you can also call it as violet, orange and then green. These are the secondary colors. Then you have tertiary colors between a primary and a secondary. So primary colors are red, blue and yellow. RBY. Red, blue and yellow. Red, blue and yellow is in option number 4. Red, blue and yellow is given as option 4. So the correct answer would be fourth one, that is D. A very simple question if you are clear on the basics of the color wheel. The next one, again that's a snippet of a 51-day course which I was talking about earlier too. You have series of lectures, like I was just talking about this concept of color wheel, right? So if you look into it, this particular topic, day 2, it is based in color theory, where I myself have taken that lecture where I dealt with in detail all the concepts of color wheel by arranging the colors and studying it, including understanding of primary colors, secondary colors, tertiary colors, understanding of complementary colors, split complementary colors, analogous colors, all these concepts, understanding the terms like tint, tone, shade. All these aspects are important for the examination, which are dealt with in detail in this 1.5 hour long lecture, step by step. So ensure that you watch this 51-day course session for complete understanding of the preparation of your architecture examinations. The next one, this is again a question related to graphics. Lines, those branch off a central point, are referred to as. So you have a central point, lines which branch off a central point. You have a central point, lines branching off it is called as. Is it proportion? No, because proportion has to do with relativeness in terms of size, particularly square, so that's not an option for sure. Repetition, so repetition and rhythm are related terms actually, but repetition is not necessarily with a central focal point always. So the correct option here would be radiation, because this type of description or layout organization of lines is referred to as radiation, because lines are radiating from a central point. So radiation would be the most appropriate answer. The third option is the correct answer for it. Next one, visual weight is associated with. Now visual weight is one of the interesting topics, aspects of color, of principles of design, where in the first lecture of a 51-day course, which I think is also available on the YouTube channel, I've dealt with this concept of what is visual weight in detail. Visual weight is basically an important aspect to understand the first principle of design, that is balance. So balance you see in the options, that's the principle of design which is dependent on the visual weight. Because what is balance? Balance is uniformity in distribution of visual weight. In any composition, be it a painting or a building or any diagram, if you have various elements where the visual weight is uniform throughout it, As simple as that. That is called as balance and principles of design. So whenever in the examination, if you are asked to create some composition, two-dimensional or three-dimensional composition, every element you use will have a visual weight. You have to take care that the uniformity of visual weight is seen in the composition. That's what the evaluators also will look for. In an interesting way, obviously, you should create it in an interesting manner. So visual weight is an important aspect associated with the principle of design, that is balance. That's the answer for it. The next one, scientific study of a human body measurements. Scientific study of human body. Well, how is it relevant in architecture? Ultimately, whatever you as architects would be designing in the future would be used by human beings. Let us say, for example, you are designing a chair or you want to design a door. Door ultimately is an access point where people will enter from. Obviously, they'll get their furniture through it, but mainly it is somewhere which is an access point where people would be entering. You cannot design a door which would not fit or which would not allow a person to pass through it. Person ideally with a wheelchair also should pass through it. So architects do study about human measurements in detail to design various aspects of interior and various parts of the building, because everything should adhere to human proportions, otherwise that space becomes useless and will not be useful for the users. Even be it any component, be it chair, should be in conformity with human measurements. So study of human measurements in architecture is called as anthropometry. Actually, it is of anthropology is wrong. It is study of human evolution. That's not what we are talking about. Anthropometry, measurement of human proportions, is referred to. So metry is measurement, anthros is basically man or human being. So anthropometry is measurement of human proportions or study of human measurements, dimensions, that is referred to as anthropometry. That would be the correct option for this question.
Moving on to the next subtopic, that is important buildings. Now in the previous lecture, when we were discussing another question paper of JEE 2024, in this section we discussed that it is not only important to know the architect of a particular prominent building and important building, it is also very important that you look into the details of it. For example, what is the material, what is the architectural style, where is it located, etc. Okay, so first of all, go and look at that particular video, go through the entire video if you haven't already. The link is given in the description box. And second of all, please note this detail down. You have to check each and every detail with respect to a prominent building, and then you will be able to solve any kind of question that comes from this particular section. Moving on to the first question from this subtopic. Match list 1 with list 2. In this question, list 1 gives you the prominent building and the list 2 gives you the place. Now, Humayun's tomb, Bibi Ka Maqbara, Hussain Doshi Gufa, group of monuments in Mahabalipuram. Before solving this question, let's look at how these monuments or how these important buildings look like. The first one, that is Humayun's tomb, is in New Delhi. The second, Bibi Ka Maqbara, is in Maharashtra. The third, Hussain Doshi Gufa, is in Gujarat, and the fourth one is in Tamil Nadu. Now, Humayun's tomb is said to be the first inspirations of Taj Mahal. The second one, that is Bibi Ka Maqbara, is said to be an attempt to replicate Taj Mahal. Okay, the third, these first two are or they come under the Mughal architecture style. Okay, the third one, that is Hussain Doshi Gufa, comes in the modern architecture style. Now this is an image of how this gufa looks like above ground level. Go online and search for images of how this gufa looks like underground. Okay, that is very interesting. Read about it in detail. The fourth one, that is group of monuments in Mahabalipuram. This is under temple architecture of India. Now moving back to the question. Now this may be very easy for you to solve. Let's simplify it further. Humayun's tomb you must be aware of, that is in New Delhi. So A is equals to 2. Let's see if we are able to find out the correct answer based on this, or if we are able to eliminate options based on this answer. So A is 2. Based on that, we are able to eliminate option number 2, in which A is said to be in Gujarat, which is not correct, we know. Now Bibi Ka Maqbara is in Maharashtra. Okay, so B is 3. Now we get the correct answer, that is option number 1, A2, B3. Now what did we discuss? We do not stop here. Just to be double sure, we look at the other options as well. C is one, Hussain Doshi Gufa in Gujarat, that is correct, and group of monuments is in Tamil Nadu, that is also correct. So option number 1 is absolutely correct for first question. Next, which of the following structure does not have a dome? The Shard, St. Paul's Cathedral, Gol Gumbaz or Avicii Arena? What did we discuss? To have a better preparation or to be best prepared for these kind of questions, what you have to do when you are when you are solving the previous year questions, you not only tick the correct answer and move ahead, but you look into the details of the other options as well. So first of all, let us look at how these monuments or how these buildings look like. This is the Shard. Now, homework, who was the designer of this or who was the architect for this? Second, St. Paul's Cathedral. This is St. Paul's Cathedral. Okay. Third, this is Gol Gumbaz and this is Avicii Arena. Okay. I have shown you how these look like. So based on this, one thing is very clear. The structure that does not have a dome has to be option number 1, Shard. Take it as a homework. Go online and check how or check the details of each of these structures. Okay. Next, who among the following architects has not won the Pritzker Prize till 2011? IMPI, BV Doshi, Moshe Safdie, Arata Aizaki. First, IMPI has already won Pritzker Award. This was in the year 1983. BV Doshi is the only Indian architect who has won the Pritzker Prize and he won it in the year 2018. Next, Moshe Safdie and Arata Aizaki. So Arata has won in the year 2019 and Moshe Safdie is the only architect who has not won the Pritzker Prize till now. So option number C is correct. Next, identify the iconic landmark. This image. This is an image of the Sydney Opera House. Okay, let's look at how the other structures look like. The Shanghai World Financial Center, the first one, second one Taipei 101 and the third one One World Trade Center. All of these are high-rise structures. Look at how the structural how is the structure like, who is the architect of this, who's the how has it been planned, what is the concept, etc. Look at all these details. Now next, identify the following landmark. The Vitra Design Museum, the German Pavilion, the Louvre, Crystal Palace, London. Okay, so these are the images of that. This is the pavilion, this is the Crystal Palace, this is the Louvre by IMPI, and the first one is the museum, the Vitra Museum. So this particular structure that you are able to see in this image, which is the question, that is the Louvre, Paris. This was designed by architect IMPI. In the previous question we saw IMPI has won the Pritzker Award in 1983. Next. Okay, now I have been repeating again and again that only solving previous year question will not get you a good score, a good rank. What you have to do is get into the details of each of these structures, and not only that, there are a lot of prominent structures, a lot of monuments that need to be a part of your bank, of your study material. So to have better preparation for NATA as well as JEE examination, you can enroll into our NATA 51-day course. This will cover not only NATA but also preparation of your JEE examination. If you look at this image carefully, you will see that important buildings of India and important buildings of the world have been covered in this. So if you look at this, we have given more than 2.5 hours to 3 hours in this particular topic. So you can imagine what all we must have covered in this particular lecture. All the important buildings, all the architects, knowing in detail about the architects, going into the details of these prominent buildings, for example the material, the place, the concept, the structural style, etc. So to to boost your rank, to get a better score, please enroll into this particular batch. I promise this is going to help you a lot in the preparation. Moving on to the general aptitude part. First one, in a code language, if brick is written as CQJBL, then cement is written as what? Okay, now you have to decode this. If BRICK is written as CQJBL, then cement is written as what? Now there are many ways of this code language being used. Okay, in very simple format, we have included this coding and decoding in our 51-day course for NATA and JEE. You can go and check there as well. But for now, let us solve this question. BRICK. Okay. What does this give us? CQJBL. How to start with these type of questions? First, you look for a hidden pattern. Okay, maybe everywhere C is written as B. That could be one of the pattern. Let's check. Cement mein C is the first letter. Here everywhere D is the first letter. So of course we cannot solve this particular question based on the concept where a particular letter denotes or another letter. Okay, that is not there. Okay, we have A to Z written over here. Let's check for another pattern. Now B becomes C, R becomes Q, I becomes J. Let's check if we are able to find any hidden pattern in this. B becomes C, okay. So the next letter. R becomes Q, okay. Not the next letter but the previous letter, okay. I becomes J, so again the next letter. C becomes B, so the previous letter. K becomes L, again the next letter. It's very evident that the pattern that is being followed over here is +1 -1. So B becoming C is a +1 pattern. R becoming Q is a -1, +1 -1 +1. This is a pattern that we are able to see. So by this understanding, C should become D, okay. And E will not become F, E will become D, +1 and -1, okay. So let us look at the options. C becomes D, that is +1, okay. E becomes D, that is -1, okay. Next, M. M may again first +1 then -1. M may what do we follow? +1. After M what comes? N. So D, D, N. So O cannot be the correct one. So we are left with option A and option B. Next, +1 -1 +1. Again we have to go to -1. So C, E, M, E. E may what do we do? -1. Okay, so it becomes D again. D, D, N, D. This is correct. So even D can be eliminated. Option number A is correct. What do? We check for the other letters as well. We do not stop here. N. For N, we have to do +1. N के बाद क्या आता है? O. So this is also correct. T के लिए MENT, T के लिए we have to calculate -1. Okay, so T से पहले क्या आता है? S. So even S is correct. We are double sure that option A is correct. Okay, next, a similar kind of question, just the letter has been changed. In a certain word code, exhaust is written as CZFCSUR. How is network written in that particular code? Again, solving by the same method. What do? First, we write the code EXHAUST. What is the code written as? CZFCSUR. What's the first step? Yes, you try to find out a hidden pattern. Okay, now if everywhere E is written as C and if everywhere X is written as Z, if we follow this kind of an understanding, are there any similar letters in exhaust and in network? Yes, E is there. Okay. Now, E should be written as C everywhere. Is that the case? Network में the first one everywhere is L. ठीक है, so that is incorrect. Our first understanding or our first guess is incorrect. Now, E and C, what is the relationship between them? We are going -2. ठीक है, X becomes Z. We are going +2. So, is it at all possible that the hidden trend in this is +2 -2? Let's check. What is happening with H? H becomes F. H becomes F. So, ठीक है, यहाँ पे we got -2, here we got +2, here again -2. Okay, A becomes C. So, +2. It is very evident that the pattern that has been followed for this question is +2 -2. Okay, so -2 +2, we go ahead with this pattern. NETWORK. NETWORK. How do we start? We start with -2. Okay, not +2, because in the example we are starting with -2. Very clear. Okay, N में -2, E becomes +2, -2, +2, -2, +2, -2. Write this in the first step so that your solving becomes very easy and you avoid all the silly mistakes in this question. Okay, N में you have to go with -2, so it becomes L. E may you have to go +2, so F and then G. Next, T may you have to go -2, so R. L, G, R. Let's see if we are getting any answer with only this much. L, G, R. Yes, option number 3 is the only one which is giving you the answer in form of L, G, R. So this is correct. But let's be double sure. W with +2 becomes Y. O with -2 becomes M. R with +2 becomes T. And K with -2 becomes I. So LGR WM TI. LGR YM TI. This is absolutely correct. Okay, now I hope if you get any question with respect to +1 -2 or +1 -1 +2 -2, you will be able to solve. But it doesn't end here. You have many other patterns which can be followed in coding and decoding. If you enroll into our NATA and JEE course of 51-day course, you will be able to understand the various other patterns as well. Moving on to the next question, which is on an engineer scale, 1 centimeter is given as 10 meter. Identify the representative fraction, that is RF. Now 1 centimeter has been given as 10 meter. If you have to find out the scale, what is the first thing that you do? You bring the left hand side as well as the right hand side in the same unit. So 1 meter is equals to 100 centimeter. You all must be aware of this conversion. Over here we have 10 meters. So 10 multiplied by 1 meter, which is 10 multiplied by 100 centimeter, which brings you to 1000 centimeter. Okay, so over here the LHS is as it is, the RHS becomes 1000 centimeter. You have to change meter to centimeter. So this becomes 1 and this is 1000. Okay, so option number 1 is correct. Next is mirror image. Now very simple, the concept is very simple. You will be given a letter or you will be given an object or a 2D image or a 3D image, and you have to find out what the mirror image should look like. Now these kind of questions you will be able to solve better and faster only with practice. The underlying concept is the same. You have to find out the mirror image. Now it may be very confusing. For example, just by one dot or just by one arrow, the answer may change. Now you first of all you have to be very observant while solving these type of questions, and as I told you already, practice, more and more practice. So in our course we have subdivided the entire course of JEE and NATA into various subsections. Under that, in mental ability and reasoning, that we cover from day 21 to day 33. Under this, day 27 deals with the topic of mirror and water image. So in this particular mirror image topic of 2024, in this question as well as in the previous question, the question paper that we solved in the previous video, mirror images had been asked, but water images can also be asked. So to understand how and water image looks like, and to understand or to practice more type of mirror image and water image questions, you can enroll into our batch, in which you will not only be taught all these concepts, but you will be given various and numerous practice questions which will make you much better in these type of questions. Okay. Now moving on to the first question for mirror image. Identify the true mirror image of the following amongst figures with respect to x dash. Okay, this is the 2D figure that we have, and this is the mirror line that has been given. So the replica needs to be towards the left. Many times in the question the replica is asked towards the right, so you have to be very careful while solving these type of questions. Okay, this is the mirror line. You have first of all one square. So in the options you should have one square which is further divided into 4 squares. So option number 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them depict one square which has been further divided into 4 squares. So till now everything is correct. Then in the top left corner you have a small square which is completely hatched in black color, and in the right bottom side you have one square which is completely hatched in black color. How should the mirror image be? How will the mirror image look like? A square further divided into 4 squares. With mirror image, this hatched square must come somewhere here, and this hatched square comes somewhere over here. Okay, let's go element by element. In these type of questions it's very important that you simplify it as much as possible. So starting with the most prominent elements that you are able to find. So first of all, a square divided into 4 squares, tick. Next, this is the next prominent element that you are able to find. Let's find out the mirror image of that, and let's see if we are able to, 1, identify the correct answer, 2, eliminate any answer or any option which is definitely wrong. Okay, so by this understanding, replica needs to be in the left bottom and top right. Left bottom and top right correct. Left bottom and top right correct. This is also correct, and this is also correct. Okay, so no elimination and no choosing of the correct answer so far. We move on to the next element, that is these arrows. Where are they? These arrows are somewhere here, which is in the original image. Where is this? In the original image it is left bottom. Okay, now in the mirror image where should it go? It should be ideally going somewhere here, so right bottom. Okay, let's see in the options. This is in the right bottom, this is in the right bottom, right bottom, right bottom. Okay, so far this is also correct. Next, let's look at the angle of these arrows. How should it be? Moving from, you can say, northwest towards southeast. Okay, so this should be the angle of the arrows. This is the angle of the arrow, correct. This is incorrect. This is the angle of the arrow, correct, and this is again incorrect. So what all have been eliminated? option number 1 and option number 3 have been eliminated. Okay, let me erase this so that we can move on to the next element to identify our correct answer. Just one element is left now. Where is the arrow, or where is the arrow located, or in which direction is the arrow pointing? Okay, so in the original image, first we draw the arrows in the original image. It is alternating in nature. So one bottom, one top, one bottom, one top. How should the mirror image be formed in this case? One bottom, one top, another bottom, another top. Okay, so this is how the mirror image should look like. In option number 2, yes, one bottom, one top, one bottom, one top. This shows the actual mirror image of the arrow directions. Let's check for the fourth one. Now, if the original arrow is here, how should the mirror image be? It should be somewhere here. But in the fourth option, the arrow is being pointed upwards. So option number 4 is incorrect. Now you have seen in the previous video, we had seen mirror images in which some of them could be solved very easily with the help of just 1 or 2 elements. In this question, we had to check the element one by one till the last element. Okay, so these are very time consuming, and only practice is going to make you very efficient with these type of questions. Okay, the next one. Identify the correct mirror image of the given figure along XY axis. So the image has been given towards the left side of the mirror, and you have to find out the mirror towards the right. First of all, it has to be a square. Next, the diagonal has to be from the northwest direction to the southeast direction. Let's check whether all these options are following these elements or not. Okay, option number 1 can be eliminated because the diagonal is exactly the same as the shape given. So mirror image has not been done in option number 1 as well as in option number 2. So both can be eliminated. Let's check for 3 and 4. The diagonal is correct in 3, the diagonal is correct in 4 as well. So by just these 2 elements, we have eliminated 2 options. Next, let's check for the next simplest element. Okay, here we find a square, here we find a square, here we find a square. Okay, this particular hatched triangle should come something in this manner. This element is also correct in option 3 and option number 4. Next, this diagonal continuing, this continuing, okay, correct. Then this element which looks like a mic, this is correct in 3 and 4. So far all these elements have been correct. Next, element number 5. Okay, now if you look closely, this element 5 in option number 3 is not correct. If this rectangle moves in the direction parallel to the diagonal, in the mirror image also, this rectangle should move parallel to the diagonal. Okay, parallel to the diagonal, correct. Now, the other rectangle which is perpendicular to the first rectangle that we saw, that is in the bottom part. So that should be in the bottom part in the mirror image as well. In option number 3, this rectangle which is a perpendicular rectangle to the first rectangle, this goes in the top part, which cannot be true in case of a mirror image in this manner. Okay, so option number 4 is correct. Next, identify the true mirror image of the figure amongst the answer figures with respect to xx. So this is a similar kind of question, more similar to the first one that we had seen. Okay, now let's check. A square, this should also become a square. The diagonal is in this manner. So if we make a mirror image of this, the diagonal should become something like this. Then the hatched square that we have in the left or the top left corner, that in the mirror image should be in the location of top right corner. Okay, so far are we able to eliminate any options? Yes, we are able to eliminate option 1 and 2, where the hatch square should come in the top right part. So top right is correct. The next element, another square which is not hatched completely. Where is that in the original figure? That is in the top right part. In the mirror image, where should it come? In the top left part. We have the not hatched square in the top left part in both these images. So till now also this is correct. Now this arrow that you are able to see is correct in both these options. So this line, this horizontal line that we are able to see comes here in the original image. Where should it come? In the mirror image it should come here. Okay, so option number 3 is correct. It will, okay, option number, okay, my mistake, option number 4 is correct. Okay, it should come somewhere here. So option number 4 is correct. Moving on to the next question. Identify the mirror image of the given word progress. Now, till now we've seen the mirror images of shapes, basic shapes or complicated shapes, okay, 2D shapes basically. Now we have to look into the mirror image of letters. Now to solve these type of questions, आप या तो एग्जाम के टाइम में you can work out this as to how a letter will look if a mirror image is made of that particular letter. That is one strategy. Strategy 2, practice well beforehand. आप जितना प्रैक्टिस करोगे ऑलरेडी आपके दिमाग में वो लेटर का मिरर इमेज फिट होता जाएगा एंड इट विल बी वेरी इजी फॉर यू इन द एग्जामिनेशन टू सॉल्व दीज टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस एंड यू विल सेव अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. Okay, now let's say I was not prepared beforehand and now I am to solve these type of questions in the exam. It is going to take a long time, but let us solve by that method. First of all, O when mirrored is going to look as it is. Then P, R, G, again R, E, S, S. These are going to mirror. This is not going, or these letters are not going to look similar when a mirror image of these letters are made. Again, every letter must get mirrored. Okay, it's not that one S is going to mirror and the other S is not going to mirror, or just one R will mirror, the other R will not mirror. Something like that will not happen at all. Okay, now based on these initial understandings, let us check if we are able to eliminate any of the options. Okay, option number 2 first of all is as it is. Okay, so that can be eliminated right away. Next, if you look closely in option number 3, this S and this S, one S is getting mirrored, the other S is not getting mirrored, which cannot be the case. So option number 3 eliminated right away. Next, okay, both S's are correct, R is also correct. Okay, fourth looks correct. In option number 1, one R is getting mirrored, the other R is not getting mirrored. Option number 1 also eliminated. Okay, now just by the initial understanding we are able to eliminate 3 of these in this particular question, but the question is not always as easy as this. Okay, you have to check for each and every letter. So S is getting mirrored. S is this. How will the mirror look like? Okay, so is the S looking like its mirror? Yes. If E is written in this manner, what will be the mirror image like? E is going to look somewhat like this. Okay, R is also mirrored, G is mirrored, O does not get mirrored, it remains as it is. R is correct, P is also correct. Double sure that option number 4 is correct over here. Okay, Moving on to the next type, that is sequence and series. In the previous video also we looked at sequence and series questions. One was numeric, one was shape based. Okay? So similar is going to be the question type in this question paper as well. The first one with the numbers. Complete the number sequence 18, 27, 38, 51, 83. The first step that you do is check the difference in each of these cases. Second, try to identify any hidden pattern if there is any. Okay. One method to go in this form is 18 to 27, the difference is 11. 27 to 38, 9. 18 to 27, difference is 9. 27 to 38, the difference is 11. 38 to 51, 13. What's the pattern that we are able to see? 9, 11, 13. What should be the case? For the next one, there should be a difference of 15. So 51, 15 becomes 66. Do we have that option? Yes, D. Okay. Another method of solving this question. Another hidden pattern that I was able to see is 18, 27, 38, 51, 83. Okay. 4 multiplied by 4 plus 2. So 16 plus 2, that is 18. Next. 5 multiplied by 5 plus 2. 25 plus 2, that is 27. Next. 6 multiplied by 6 plus 2, 36 plus 2, that is 38. Next, what should this be ideally? 7 multiplied by 7 plus 2, so 49 plus 2, that is 51, correct? So what should the next be? 8 multiplied by 8 plus 2, that is 64 plus 2, that is 66. Again, the answer is the same. Okay, this is how you should be very observant while solving these type of questions. Next. Now this is based on the shape. Figure a pattern amongst the following figures which will continue the same series or pattern as established in the problem figure. The first one. What do you have? A square, but that is inclined at 45 degrees. Okay. How is the second image being formed? This original image, the shape that is given in the middle, you tilt it 45 degree, and with the mixture of the original and the new image, when you mix it, you get the second one. So initially you have a square which is tilted in 45 degree, you tilt it in 45 and make it 90 degree. This is the second image that you are getting. So if this is the pattern, what should happen to a triangle that has been given to you? You have one triangle. Okay. Now, it has to be twisted. It has to be turned. So, one way of turning it is, turn it 45 degree, matlab turn it in this manner. Okay. So, this vertex comes here. What does it make? It makes a star. Since here we are talking about equilateral, so it will become a star in case 2. Why can't it be case 3? Because one shape is coming in between the other shape. So wrong. Fourth, one shape is coming under the original shape. So again wrong. In the first one, it has nothing to do with a replication or inclination or any turns of any shape. So option number 1 is also rejected. Next. Okay, what are the type of questions that you get in this? Let's read. When the paper is folded in a given pattern and is cut at the end, identify which pattern is unfolded, or you have to identify after you unfold this paper, what will you obtain basically. Okay, so what you have to do over here is observe the arrows very carefully. First it is going to fold, maybe there is some pattern drawn or that, or maybe there is some cutout that happens in the last stage of the folding. Then it is unfolded, and among the options what will you observe is the question. So follow the arrow carefully. First of all, in this square piece of paper, how does it get folded? The arrow is towards here, matlab or meaning of this is this entire portion is going to overlap with the bottom triangle. Okay, so what you are going to get is this triangle. You are going to get this triangle which has been shown in figure number 2. Now, how is the folding happening? This particular triangle is going to get folded and it's going to overlap with this bottom triangle, and figure 3 shows what you are going to obtain after that. Next, this particular triangle. Okay, let me mark the final result so that there is no confusion. Okay, this triangle is getting folded into the bottom one, and the triangle below is what we are going to obtain. Okay, now the folding line is somewhere here. The arrow shows that the right side triangle is going to fold and overlap with the left hand side triangle. So this particular triangle is what you will obtain, and it has been shown in the next figure. Now in the next figure you are also able to observe 4 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now these 4 circles you are going to obtain on the triangle. Now when it gets unfolded back, where will you get this particular triangle? Okay, this triangle is over here. This is the folding line, and this triangle is what we are talking about over here. Okay, when this also we unfold, the triangle comes somewhere here. I hope you are able to trace this. Now in the given options, identify the triangle first of all. Okay, so where do you get these triangle? Here in option number 1, here in option number 2, this is for option number 3, and then finally for option number 4. Observe the pattern of the circles over here. 1 in all the corners and 1 in the middle. Okay, so 1 in all the corners, no, there is no circle in the right angle corner. So 3 we can eliminate. Next, you have 3 circles in the 3 corners but no circle in the middle, so even 4 you can eliminate. 1, 2, 3, 4 correct. 3 circles in the corners and 1 in the middle, this is absolutely correct. For second one also, you have 3 circles in the 3 corners, but the middle part where the circle should come is towards the hypotenuse, not over here. So 2 can also be rejected based on this. The correct answer is 1. This is a shortcut that we have done. Otherwise, we followed the entire long process which we have discussed in the previous lecture. So you can go there and check it out. Now, in our 51-day course, what we will cover is, under visualization of objects, we cover 3D objects and 2D views, we cover folding and unfolding, counting surfaces and counting blocks. Not only this, but we cover the entire syllabus of JEE and NATA preparation. So without any further delay, please enroll into our batches to get a better rank in your examination. Now, the final topic for the day is projection and views. The final one, but the most important one. If you go through the previous year question papers, you will see that more than 4 questions in all these papers have been asked based on this particular topic. Okay, so moving to the first question of this particular subtopic. In the question figure, a 3D is given. Identify the correct top view of the object amongst the answer figures. Now, before solving these kind of questions, your basics should be very clear. For example, what will be the top view of a cuboid, or what will be the top view of a cone, what will be the side view of a cylinder, and so on. So, we talk about top views, back view, front view. Then we talk about side views. For all of this, you can talk about any solid. It can be a very simple solid, for example, a cube, a cuboid, a cylinder, a cone, a sphere, etc. Or it could be complex object made with a combination of 2 or more of these similar or different simple objects. Okay, now the object that is given to us is a little complex. You have various different simple objects put together. Now what has been asked? The correct top view has been asked. So it can either be you have been given one of these directly. For example, what will be the back view, what will be the front view, what will be the top view, or you can be given an arrow, and if you view the object from that particular arrow, what are you going to see? That is usually the question that we are able to, or what we get in the questions over here. It's the top view. Okay, now for a cuboid, the top view in this case has to be rectangle. For shape number 2 also it has to be rectangle. For this it is going to be a square, a rectangle and a square. You have to simplify it as much as possible first to solve these type of questions. This is step number 1. Step number 2, identify the levels. Maybe from front to the back or maybe from top to the bottom. In this case, since we've been given a top view, it will be much easier if we go from top to bottom. Okay, now in this case, all this is in level, this is in level, but when you view it from the top, do you see any levels as such? No. Okay, so you can directly solve this. Now first one, you have to see first element, second element, third element, fourth element and fifth element. So there are total of 5 elements. 1 2 3 4 rejected, 1 2 3 4 5 okay, 1 2 3 4 5 correct, 1 2 3 4 5. So just by understanding how many faces should we get or how many simple shapes we must get, we are able to at least eliminate one out of these. Next, okay, the next one, shape number 1, what should you get? A rectangle. Correct. Shape number 2, you must get a horizontal rectangle. Correct. But in option number 3, there is a problem. After this particular rectangle for solid number 2, you also have a solid number 3 over here, which is missing from option number 3. So this is also eliminated. Now this particular square, that is 3, do we have in 2? Yes, we have. Do we have this in 3? No. It is missing from option number 4 as well, so eliminated. We do not stop here, we carry this process for the other shapes as well. Shape number 4, we should be seeing a rectangle, yes. Shape number 5, we should be seeing a square, correct. So double sure that option number 2 is the correct one. Next, in the question figure, a 3D is given. Identify the correct top view of the object amongst the answer figures. What do you have to find out? Correct top view again. Following the same process once again. What? First we have to simplify this complex 3D object. Then we have to understand what the top view will look like, or we have to convert the 2D into a 3D shape, and then we check for the options for elimination. Okay. So shape number 1, you should be seeing a rectangle. Shape number 2, you should be seeing something like this. Okay, this is the shape that you should be getting, and shape number 3, you should be getting a horizontal rectangle again. Okay, so 1 directly eliminated because there are just 2, so cannot be possible. Option number 2, 1 2 3 4 5 cannot be possible. This is just one whole image without any level difference, without any change in the 3D solid. Okay, so option number 2 also eliminated. Option number 3, 1 2 3 4 again wrong. This entire surface is one whole surface. Okay, this line should not be coming over there. Okay, now option number 4, 1 2 3 correct. You have a vertical rectangle over here, a horizontal rectangle over here, and this kind of a shape for solid number 2. So option number 4 is correct. Okay, I hope you now have a hang of these type of questions and how to solve that. You are able to understand. Next one. The question figure shows the 3D view of an object. Identify the correct view of the object looking in the direction arrow amongst the answer figures. Okay, now as I told you many times, they will give you top view, front view, etc. In this case they have given you the arrow this is where the arrow is pointing towards. What do we do? First we simplify the object. So you have 1, 2, 3 3D objects. Okay, now if you look at this object number 1 from the front or from the angle of the arrow, what faces are you going to see? 1, 2, 3 for object number 1. Then you have object number 2, you should be seeing this face. Let's call this face number 4. Then you should be able to see this face number 5. Let's check if all of these are present in these options or not. So at the bottom you must see 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So 4, 4, 4. Option number 4 can be eliminated because this okay, 4th is there, 3 is there, but 1 and 2 has been combined. But because there are level difference, you should be able to see 2 different squares and not just one continuous rectangle. So 4th is eliminated. Next, you have to observe for this triangle, that is your face number 5. Where is it starting? It's starting from the absolute right corner, that is in line with face 3, and it is going to end in line with face 1. Okay, let's check for that. 3, 2, 1, 4, 5. Okay, so this is correct. 3, 2, 1, 4, and your triangle is ending at 2. This is incorrect. Again 1, 2, 3, 4, and your triangle is ending somewhere here. So this is also incorrect. Okay, option number 1, we are double sure that option number 1 is going to be correct in this case. Moving on to the next question now. Okay, the figure is the same. The question figure shows the 3D view of the object. Identify the correct view of the object looking in the direction arrow. The arrow has been changed or the view has been changed, but overall the shape is still the same. Following the same steps, what do you see? One object, second object, third object. What are the faces that you are going to see from this angle? Face number 1, face number 2, face number 3, face number 4, face number 5. Okay, so going level by level. First you are going to see 2, then a triangle which is 1. Okay, then you are going to see 4, and then you are going to see 5. So 2 actually can be like this or can be like this, 2 divided. We don't know, but usually the areas that are hidden are considered to be continuous face without any gap or without any level difference, since we are not able to view what lies there. Okay, also if 2 was in line with 1, we would have been able to see that. So at least it's not in line with 2, it could be like somewhere in between, but we do not know. So for that, based on that, we cannot reject any of the options as of now. Okay, next. 3 will convert into one rectangle. So you have 2 at the base and then 3. 2 and then 3. Okay. Okay. 2 and then 3, 2 and then 3, but there is going to be a square at the bottom, and then there is going to be this triangular portion that or the rectangle from object number 2 that we should be able to see. Okay, just let me get rid of everything. The question figure shows the 3D view of an object. Identify the correct view of the object looking in the direction arrow. The object is the same as the previous question, just the direction of the arrow has been changed or the view angle has been changed. So what are the faces that you will be able to observe now, or what are the objects? Let's simplify that first. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Then what are the faces that you will be able to see in this case? Face number 1, face number 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, let's try to see if we can eliminate anything based on just the count. 1 2 3 4, yes, eliminated. 1 2 3 4, yes, eliminated. 1 2 3 4, eliminated. 1 2 3 4 5. Just one correct answer we have as of now, but just to be double sure, we will check if this is correct or not. Okay, first phase, you see something like this. This particular object number 1 will get converted, or when we view it from this one angle, just one 2D plane you will be able to see, which is this 2. Okay, so 1, this is 2, then this becomes 3, which is going to be a triangle. This is 4, which is going to be an inverted triangle, and then you have this 5, which is going to be a square. So double sure that option number 4 is correct in this case. Moving to the next question. Okay, before we move on to the next question, I want to show you the page of our 51-day course. Okay, we say that it is a 51-day course, but it's not that you will be able to see just 51 videos in that and that's it. That's not all that we are providing. If you look closely into this, you will see that there are 70 files, 84 video lectures and 67 tests. Okay, so again and again I have been telling you that practice is the key. You have to practice as much as possible. You have to be very observant. So for that we are providing you many tests which will make you an expert in these type of questions. Okay, next you have 84 video lectures. So apart from the general aptitude or apart from the computer based test that you have, you also have sketching in these questions or in these papers. So sketching is also taught in this 51-day course, and you will be able to perform better in the exam. Okay, so moving on to the next one. The question figure. In the question figure, a 3D object is given. Identify the correct view of the object looking in the direction arrow amongst the answer figures. Okay, this is the arrow that has been shown. So again, dividing into basic objects 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, now identifying the faces that you will be able to see from this particular arrow. You have face number 1, face number 2, face 3, 4. Okay, you are able to view 4 faces only, or 4 simplified 2D shapes only you should be able to view in this particular answer. Let's see if we are able to eliminate any of the options based on just this understanding. 1 2 3 4, okay, 1 2 3 4 correct. 1 2 3 4 5, we can eliminate option number C. 1 2 and 3, we can eliminate option number 4 as well. Next, this particular plane 1 ideally should be one big rectangle, something like shown in figure 1. Okay, so this is correct, this is wrong, but let's keep that for now. Next, you should be able to see 2 and 4. So here we are able to see 2 and 4, here we are not able to see 2 and 4. There is no division. 2 should be separate, 4 should be separate. That division is not there in option number 1. So again we can eliminate that out. Okay, this here is a continuous plane which is not possible. There is a level difference in this particular question. Again, do you see any level difference in that line that I have drawn? No. So this line is extra over here. So again we are double sure, triple sure that option number 2 is the correct one. Moving on to the next question. The question figure shows the 3D view of an object. Identify the correct view of the object looking in the direction arrow. This is the arrow. What should you be able to see? Face number 1, face 2, face 3 and face 4. Let's see if based on this understanding, if we are able to eliminate any of these. 1 2 3 eliminated. 1 2 3 4, okay, we can keep this. 1 2 3 4 5 6 eliminated. 1 2 3 4 5 again eliminated. We are able to see just 4 faces. Now let's be double sure. This one rectangle correct. Rectangle number 2, correct. Rectangle number 3, correct. Rectangle number 4, correct. Option number 2 is the correct answer for this particular question. Okay. Next we look into miscellaneous questions. Who designed India Gate? I have been telling you time and again that prominent buildings, the designers, the place, the material, the style, etc. you have to learn and you have to keep on revising this. India Gate is in Delhi and Edwin Lutyens has designed India Gate. The New Delhi city was also planned for by Edwin Lutyens. When it comes to British era important buildings or the planning that has been done for New Delhi, usually two names are associated with that, Herbert Baker and Edwin Lutyens. Next, V7 concept of Chandigarh city is associated with which architect? So architect and planner Le Corbusier, option number A. Le Corbusier has planned the city of Chandigarh and he has given the V7 concept wherein the road, V7 talks about the road hierarchy from V1 to V7, wherein V1 is the major road and V7 is a road for pedestrian movement. Now it is said that V8 is also there, which is for the cycle tracks. Okay, next one. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion A and other is labeled as reason R. Assertion A. Social integration at workplace is necessary. Reason R. There are many backward classes in the society. In the light of the above statements, choose the most appropriate answer from the options given below. Both A and R are true and A is the correct explanation of, or R is the correct explanation of A, or both A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation of A. A is false but R is true, A is true but R is false. Is it true that social integration at workplace is necessary? Yes. Imagine a group of people from a certain background sitting together and separate from the others. That should not be done. So social integration at workplace is necessary. There are many backward classes in society. Correct. In India, if you see, there are many backward classes. Not only in India but in other countries as well. So is this a correct statement? Yes. This is also true. This is also true. Can we eliminate anything? Yes. A is true but R is false, eliminated. A is false but R is true, also eliminated. We are left with both are correct and R is the reason for A, or both are correct and R is not the reason for A. Okay. There are many backward classes in the society is true, but it's not a direct reason for social integration. There are many, you can say, reasons. There are many points based on which we can make a statement like that, but R is not the reason. So both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. This is the correct answer. Moving on. The botanical name of mango tree is what? Okay. Now there are many complex trees that you can be given and you can be asked to identify the scientific name of that. But for these type of questions, it's very simple. Mango mangifera. You have the answer in the question itself. So option number C is correct. Next. A man is facing towards east and turns through 45 degrees anti-clockwise. Okay, so this is a clock question. A man is facing towards east. Okay, and turns through 45-degree anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise is in this direction. So this is position number 2. Next, it turns 180-degree anti-clockwise. 180-degree is a straight line. So this is position number 3. Then it turns 270-degree clockwise. Clockwise is in this direction. So it is turning 270-degree clockwise. So this is going to be the final position, position number 4. Okay, in which direction is he facing? In which direction is he facing? Let me draw it for you. This is the north, this is south, this is west, this is east. So this becomes southeast, which is the fourth position. So option number A, southeast, is correct. Next, Kuchipudi is a unique dance from which state? I hope you know this. Andhra Pradesh is the correct answer. FAR stands for what? FAR stands for floor area ratio. What is floor area ratio? FSI and FAR are the same thing basically. That's a ratio of built up area by plot area. Now what is plot area and what is built up area? Plot area is basically the land parcel that you get for construction. As an architect, as a civil engineer, the client will come to you that this is the land parcel and I want to make a house, for example, on this. Okay, that is the plot, and the area of that particular land parcel or site or plot is going to be the plot area. What is built up? Now in detail you will be studying built up in your architecture, but basically what is built up? It's a sum of all the areas. For example, on this particular land parcel, on ground floor you have constructed this much, which is, let's say, 100 meters square. Okay, and you have constructed, for example, 4 stories or 4 floors of 100 meters square. So the total built up area is going to be 400 meters square. That is your built up area. Now FAR is just one ratio that is given. Okay, built up area divided by plot area. There are many uses of giving this particular FAR. The authority can tell you that you are allowed to build only one FAR, meaning what? You are able to build only 1000 meters square on a plot of 1000 meters square. Okay, this is usually to control the population in a particular area and to control the development in a particular area. More on this when you study architecture. For now, understand that FAR and FSI is one thing and it's a ratio, and the ratio is given by built up area by plot area. Next one. When is the World Environment Day celebrated? In the previous question paper we looked at the year. Now we are talking about the day. It is 5th June, option number 1. Okay, here we end with our this paper of JEE 2024. Stay tuned with us. We'll be solving more NATA and JEE question papers. More videos coming up very soon. Stay tuned and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.